Double fault to start the match for Wozniacki. Average length of her match has been 1 hour 48 minutes per match. Her 10th straight trip here to the US Open. Runner-up to Kim Clijsters in 2009 and runner-up to Serena Williams 2 years ago here.
Yeah, that's where she was always going to run into problems in the latter parts of Grand Slams. Women that hit the ball much bigger than her. But yet also possess terrific defensive skills, so they can hang with her on long rallies. And then when the short ball comes, they can step in and hit a winner. For her, it's a lot more difficult to generate that same kind of power. And that's always been the part that's been missing from her game.
How about right now? Where do you think she is on that spectrum?
Well, I don't think there's much that's changed about her game over the last 5 to 6 years. I think that one thing that's struggling is her confidence right now. I have to say she's more disciplined at going after the forehand more this week than I have seen her in a long time.
Game point here after double faulting to start the match. 3 straight points for Wozniacki. Keys ripped that return. What defense turned to offense by Wozniacki. I mean, you will rarely see a return sent back that fast, and Wozniacki ended up winning the point.
Well, that is hopefully everything we're going to see in this match. We saw what they both do as well as anybody on tour. Wozniacki showing her defensive skills. I mean, 3 or 4 of those shots in that last point would have been winners against anybody else. But Wozniacki gets one more ball back and then waits to hit the winner. What an incredible point.
Madison Keys.
Very good start for Wozniacki to stand up to that power of Keys.
Yeah, they will be doing a lot of running today. And you know what? She loves it. The longer the point, the better it is for Wozniacki today.
Wozniacki going to go to the chase review here. Linesman called it good immediately. There's no hesitation.
Looking for the mark.
Linesmen are going to get a workout today because Keys' ball, I've always thought would be
out.
Really tough to call, just like that one.
Love 15.
Just missed. So love 15. Surprising to me that Keys is the only player in the top 10 that hasn't made a major final. Seems like we have so many new players coming in and out of the top 10 that for her to be the only one is surprising to me.
I think that's where you have to have baby steps, and I think that
15-13.
This is the next step. Winning matches like this, for example, getting into a quarterfinal. She's been into the semifinals once, but all these little steps are huge steps for a player of her age. Just already overplaying several of these ground strokes, trying to do too much and now in trouble.
Break point facing Keys. Just 21 years of age.
Ouch.
The umpire steps in and calls it out.
Miss Keys is challenging
He
the
says,
ball
"What the
on
heck?
the
Let's
left
challenge it."
baseline. Ball's called out.
Well, this was a bit of a courageous call, gotta say, from the umpire, because Wozniacki was looking at it and played it back in the court and was willing to play the point. And that's why, because the ball was in and on the line. So that actually hurts, believe it or not, that actually hurts Wozniacki
15-14.
more than Keys, because now Keys gets the opportunity to start the point with her big serve.
It's a good thing she challenged.
It was just a horrendous overall, I gotta say.
Umpire's a little nervous here too. Still break point though.
13-14.
I mean, you got to be a little ripped off if you Wozniacki there, because that ball was on the line. She was more an aggressive point in the court, and then Keys with the big serve.
Use.
So Keys saves the break points. Wozniacki doing her best to track these shots down, but Keys is so
Advantage
powerful. It's actually just the first winner that Keys has hit.
Make a bet with you that it's not the last.
Yeah, many more to come. Gotta start somewhere.
There's a lot of players that would be overwhelmed
Use.
from the power of Madison Keys because they take big swings or whatever it is. One of the things that's not going to worry her opponent today, Wozniacki, is that she actually likes the ball coming to her with pace.
That's where she seemed to struggle against Nicolescu.
Everybody struggles with Nicolescu because of that. It's a
Slice forehand.
crazy ball that comes at you. And then a big backhand. So it's sort of counterintuitive to how you normally play players.
Game point Keys. Keys just losing that up in the sky. Sevastova talking about how tough it was to see the ball in the last match at times.
Yeah, that's a ball she should have let bounce and tried to hit a forehand.
You can lose the ball. She's not looking into sun there. She just, the roof can disguise the ball.
You know, it's a brave soul that will close in the net when Madison Keys has a sitter forehand, and that's what was what Wozniacki. This is a pretty good stab volley to get this back in the court, but when Madison walks up with that forehand grip, there's a little bit of panic in you at the net.
What a game this is turning out to be for Madison Keys. Keys taking her time here, trying to regroup in this game. Last year she finished in the top 20 for the first time. This year she's trying to finish in the top 10. Make the WTA finals in Singapore. A lot on the line for her still. And Wozniacki's earned herself another chance to break.
Advantage Wozniacki.
This will be the third break point facing Keys in this game.
So the big serve once again, which it does quite often, gets Madison Keys out of trouble.
There was a light, but the line apart called the serve out. Good. That's
Combination there from Keys.
Just a flat-out clean winner from about 15 feet behind the baseline. Just unbridled power she possesses.
Keys steamrolling ahead. That was a tough game, though. She faced 3 break points, but gets through it. And so Madison Keys levels up the score here early. 1-all, spot in the quarterfinals on the line for these two.
Yeah, and up against Anastasia Sevastova now, which we saw her have a terrific match against Konta, but believe me, these players, if they've looked at the draw,
Yeah,
that's an opportunity that they wouldn't give up.
No.
And nothing against Sevastova, but certainly very different to the possibility of playing Joanna Konta, who made the semis of the Australian Open, and of course in that section of the draw was Muguruza, who was taken out by Sevastova. So Muguruza, after winning and playing superb tennis at the French Open, has struggled big time since then.
Konta just never seemed to get on track today against Sevastova.
You thought when she was down 3-love and got back to 3-all that she had righted the ship, but
yep.
It's a great effort from Sevastova.
Keys, good return. That serve just not much on it, 73 miles an hour, and Keys crushed it back.
And this is where Madison Keys needs to take advantage of everything she can on the second serve.
T50.
T15. 40-15, Wozniacki trying to stay in front of Keys, just keep the scoreboard pressure on her. Wozniacki only won 5 matches in her last 12 coming into the US Open. But the switch has been flipped and she's looking more like the Wozniacki of old, maybe even better. She's up 2-1 on serve here in the opening set. Madison Keys about to serve as the fans streaming in on that changeover. Crowd starting to build here in Arthur Ashe Stadium. National holiday weekend here in the United States. Tomorrow's Labor Day. This is a very popular weekend for the tournament. People from all over the world coming. Keys drops that first point. She got down 15-40 in her last service game and had to eventually win a marathon game.
It's going to be really important for Sam, for Madison Keys, as Vanessa Williams there, of course, phenomenal singer. And it's going to be really important for Madison to stay really controlled and not trying to overplay early in a point. And that's hard to do when you have such power. And for Wozniacki, shots like that, she can't afford to miss. That is her only her third unforced error of the match, but it's important for her to keep that very low today.
He's trying to pick that up off her shoe tops.
40-30.
She plays very fast. Not a lot of time in between these points. She gets right back up to the line.
Wow.
Good return from Wozniacki. She was on that.
Well, that's right into her power zone. Her backhand's always been her best shot. She takes a really nice short swing with the shoulder turn. And again, the pace of ball doesn't bother her. She uses it to her advantage.
And again, Wozniacki drawing Keys into the error. And it's break point, second straight game Wozniacki's had a chance to break. 0 for 3 in the first Keys service game. And Wozniacki gets the break. Would Keys feel any extra pressure against Wozniacki? Feel like that she has to go for even more than she typically does?
Yeah, because Wozniacki is such a good mover around the court, and everybody knows, look, a locker room reputation is that Wozniacki likes pace, but what is Madison Keys going to do about that? I mean, that's what she does. She's not going to start rolling the ball around the court. So it's a bit of a dilemma. She has to hope that Wozniacki starts to hit the ball a bit shorter, which she's not doing. She's actually, her length of her ground stroke is what's hurting Madison Keys, not necessarily anything other than that.
Wozniacki finally healthy. It's been a year of struggling with injuries, wrist and ankle.
Seconds.
Keys is up to 10 unforced errors now.
You think back in all the matches that Caroline Wozniacki has won on this court, and there is no doubt, no matter what has happened all year with her injuries, and she's lost some pretty shocking matches this year, ones that she would not have lost in the past. It doesn't matter. It's all erased walking onto this court.
Two-time finalist here. A lot of good memories. And she is just rolling here in the first set so far.
Again, terrific defending, but really, really poor footwork from Madison Keys. That was a great shot from Wozniacki. Right here, Madison Keys should have been adjusting more with the feet. She was thinking that Wozniacki was going to hit a drop shot, and instead that one was right on her toes.
40-15.
And it'll be interesting to see where the crowd goes today, because they were, in my opinion, one of the reasons why Madison was able to get back in her match down 5-1 in the third against Osaka the other day. The crowd just lifted her to the finish line. But Wozniacki is very, very popular here in New York as well, so it'll be interesting.
It is interesting. Wozniacki seems to transcend borders, and I think tennis in general lends itself to that. Keys misses, and Wozniacki is off to a very good start. She'd take this any day. A 4-1 lead here in the opening set.
4 games to 1 for set.
Madison Keys at 10 unforced errors compared to just 3 for Wozniacki. She's down a break here. Opening set, spot in the quarterfinals on the line.
I just want to go back to the comfortability of and how she feels on this court, Wozniacki. She's said many times that this is her favorite court. She has so many fond memories. I mean, I think about the forehand that she hit against Maria Sharapova a number of years ago. It was an incredibly long point. And she ran to it. She hit that great forehand. She put her fist in there. I mean, it's something about this court that brings out the best in her. And it's bringing out the best in her again in this tournament, because I tell you what, in New Haven, the week before, she looked horrendous. So this improvement in a week is unbelievable.
Ace from Keys. Wozniacki can challenge it. She has a place here too in New York. She loves the city.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want that. Wozniacki's going to lose a chase review.
Wozniacki has 2 challenges.
I think she's just been struggling with motivation a little bit this year because of all the injuries.
And you touched on it too. She's so embraced here in New York. Madison Keys, the American, and certainly got a ton of support against Osaka the other day, but it does feel like it's more of a pro Wozniacki crowd here. Break point to go up 5-1. Ace Keys.
38-40.
Keys comes right back to erase those break points. I think the sport of tennis, Renee, maybe more soccer too to a certain extent, but it kind of transcends borders. It doesn't really matter where you're from. People pull for players more than where those players are from, as opposed to other sports. I went out to a mixed doubles match last night. It was Hingis and Pays against 2 Americans, Ram and Vanderway, and the crowd was overwhelmingly for Hingis and Pays here in New York.
Do you know how many fans Leander Paes has around the world?
Yeah.
Let me tell you. But also, we're talking about, in particular with Pays and Hingis, 2 of the greatest players that are certainly in doubles for Leander and Martina Hingis, one of the great players of all time. So that is beyond sort of the scope, and particularly on the outside courts where you don't get to see those superstars a lot of the time. So this could be a big game, Sam. I mean, obviously we've talked ad nauseum about her efforts of coming back against Osaka from 5-1 in the third, but look, Wozniacki can't serve you off the court, so there's a chance to break. So it is important for Keys to not lose another service.
Wozniacki's going to challenge again. She just lost a chase review.
I think she might be wrong again on this one.
She'd be down to 1 left if she's wrong here, and she is. So Wozniacki loses 2 chase reviews as well as a chance to get up 2 breaks. Wozniacki still up
Wozniacki leads
4-2.
4 games to 2 for sets. Ms. Wozniacki has 1 challenge remaining. Left.
These two have never faced each
30-11.
other, and in fact admitted they'd never even practiced together, even though they know each other. Keys going to the left hand there. Still can't get a racket on it.
40-11. Game, Wozniacki.
Wozniacki said she
Ball
knew
change,
she'd
please.
need to fight for every point, and she's certainly done
Wozniacki
that.
leads
She's a
5
game away
games to
from
2
claiming
for
the
sets.
set. Caroline Wozniacki, game away from grabbing this opening set against Madison Keys. Rafa Nadal on this court after the women's match today. Sevastova awaits the winner of this match. Surprise quarterfinalist from Latvia.
Yeah, the first Latvian player through to a quarterfinal of a Grand Slam since Larissa
15 left.
Savchenko back in 1994.
We were laughing because you were more excited about that than she is.
I know. She probably wasn't even born then.
Yeah. It's a great effort against Konta. Nice.
Again, like I said, very important for Keys to keep the scoreboard pressure on Wozniacki to try and serve the set out.
40-11.
I mean, players know what their vulnerabilities are, and Wozniacki knows her vulnerability sometimes is the second serve.
Wozniacki, she served well in this first set, though. She only lost 3 points. Keys handing that point to Wozniacki, but
40-15.
a 40 love when she did it.
That's where having power is sometimes a bad thing, because on that shot you just need to just have good hands and place it into the shot.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit that hard. She could have just hit a little drop shot, something smart, but she still tried to hit it hard.
It's getting interesting here.
Well, Sam, you see that smile on Wozniacki's face? That's what you haven't seen all year. She is absolutely loving this environment. Yeah, I'm back. I don't care if I'm 70 plus in the world in the rankings.
She said the ranking doesn't matter at all right now.
No, she said after she went out of the top 10, she didn't care anymore where she was ranked.
She's finally healthy again, therefore happy on the court. Still game point Keys here. She tries to stay in this set. Just so much power.
And that was a huge come on from Madison Keys. And believe me, Wozniacki would have heard that. And you were talking about how well Wozniacki's played on her service games. Well, now it's a little different when you're serving for the set.
Yeah, Wozniacki's only lost 3 points on her serve. 1 first serve point, 2 second serve points. But you're right, pressure has just been raised here.
Law 15.
And see, that's where the sort of lack of feel or shot selection shows with Madison Keys, because right here she had to adjust. She had to try and do something a little bit sort of less with power and more with disguise and guile, and doesn't hit a great lob at all. That's the shot that I've seen from Wozniacki all week long that has looked as good as ever, the forehand down the line. And this is aggressive. I mean, she is a long way off the court here after hitting it. She has to be smart with not leaving the court open. Must hit a winner, and does so.
It's her 7th winner. And set points now coming for Wozniacki. She got the break early and has held on. Keys has been unable to break Wozniacki. This has been going on for about 38 minutes.
Thomas Hogstead.
Wozniacki wraps up the opening set.
5-6 games to 3.
She tries to take down Madison Keys and get to the quarters. Madison Keys will try to come back here. Losing the first set to Caroline Wozniacki. Only got broken 1 time, but that's all it took.
Second set. Keys to serve. Low.
So, of course, Madison Keys has been 3 sets a couple of times in this tournament already.
She lost the first set to Allison Risk
15.
in the opening round, and then lost the middle set to Osaka in the last round.
15-30.
These are the little things. It is, you know, look, Madison's only going to get better. She has so much potential. But one of the things that she needs to get better at is that you don't need to hit that hard. The grip was wrong. The previous game she tried to hit the forehand. She could have hit a nice touch shot. Those are shots she can practice. Basic volleys, basic chip forehands.
Where would you put Keys on the work ethic scale at this point?
15,
I mean, she's still young.
Yeah, getting better and better. There were some question marks maybe last year and how much focus on every practice session. But the one thing I did ask her a couple of weeks ago is what do you think that what is the biggest difference that Thomas is making for you, her coach?
There's the break of serve. He needs to make a difference right now. What did she say?
She said he's holding me more
First game,
accountable in
second set.
practice. So I think that's also just her own maturity of understanding that, look, if you want to win big matches against players like this on a biggest of stages, you have to work incredibly hard on the practice court. And if you don't work hard on the practice court and you don't do all the X's and O's and dot your I's and cross your T's and everything, it's going to show up in these moments.
Keys just broken to start the second set. Wozniacki only needed one break to win the set in the first set. Of course, Wozniacki worked so hard off the court at training and is very fit. Do you see Wozniacki as someone who's going to
15 left.
put in the work on her tennis, like to try to make that transition to being more powerful?
I think it's tough at this point. You know, you can practice so much, but when you get onto the court, in the match court, you sort of revert back to the things that you've always done. And I guess the question to that will be
15 off.
answered in this match, because Wozniacki cannot afford to start pushing her forehand and not playing aggressive, because if Madison finds her length and shots, she's in trouble, Wozniacki. And now that difficult shadow that comes across the court now as the sun starts setting.
And Keys
30-50.
didn't see that well. That serve only 79 miles an hour.
That's a more measured forehand from Keys.
30 on.
Beautiful hitting from Keys. Good defending again from Wozniacki, making Keys hit one more ball, and that time a little more margin over the net, but still pretty close to the sideline.
That's a good return by Keys.
40-30.
Wozniacki just has not been phased by the Keys' power. She's defended so well. Redirected. Game point.
Miss Keys challenging a call.
Keys
on
is going
the
to challenge this
left
serve.
Ball's called in.
Wozniacki's backed up as if she's going to be ready to serve the second serve. Chase review shows that perfect.
Ball stands.
Yeah. She couldn't have
Game
walked it
ball
over there any better. So Wozniacki consolidates her break. She leads 2-love here in the
leads
second
2 games
set,
to
and
love second
Keys
set.
desperately
has
will
3
try to
challenges
fight back now.
Yeah, I mean, this is It's one thing to come back against Naomi Osaka, who had never been in that situation before at 5-1 in the third, but when you're playing against someone as experienced as Wozniacki, you cannot get behind 3 or 4-1 in this particular match.
Wozniacki's ranking should definitely jump. She lost second round here last year.
Boy, that's big hitting.
30-11.
Game point Keys.
Game
And Madison Keys holds it love. She's only a break down. It's very early in the second set.
Wozniacki
Can
leads
she
2 games to
overcome
1
that
second
break?
set and by 1 set to love.
Wozniacki just needs to keep holding serve. She'll find herself in the quarterfinals. But that's probably going to be easier said than done, though she served exceptionally well today. Still, she's only lost 6 points in total on her serve. Keys is yet to threaten, hasn't had a break point, in fact. But Keys smacking that serve right back for the winner.
Love 15.
Well, some vulnerability now.
Love
And this
30.
is where, as a player, if you're Wozniacki, you're trying to detach from the outcome. You're trying to not worry about the scoreline. Play the ball, but it's so difficult to do that. You know how big it is to continue to hold serve. Oh, that's a big miss from Madison. You do not need to hit that down the line. She just hit a clean win across court with the forehand. Go with the bigger part of the court, bigger margins over the net, more court to hit into, and to the weaker side of your opponent. That's just a bad shot selection.
Comes another second serve. That last one was only 87 miles an hour.
Again, meat and potatoes. Return the ball inside out over the bigger part of the court, over the smaller part or the lower part of the net. And then you play a sensible forehand cross court. It's just little things like that that make a huge difference in these moments.
This is the first moment of the match. Keys has had a break point.
Oh,
And Keys breaks her first opportunity. So it's 2-all here in the second.
3 games all,
I mean,
second set.
it's so hard for everyone at home to understand how big this forehand is hit from Madison Keys. I mean, Wozniacki barely could move to that ball. It was just straight past her.
2 games apiece. First break of the match of the Wozniacki serve.
Love 15.
Now, if you're Wozniacki, you have to flip the coin, right? You have to flip the mental side and say, okay, I'm up a set and it's 2-all. Everything's good. Let that last game go. Reset.
Keys over hitting that forehand, and all of a sudden she's in
Love
trouble
30.
again. Love 30. 24 unforced errors, only 5 for Wozniacki, but he says 22 winners compared to just 7 for Wozniacki. It's Keys who's dictating everything.
Both players will be very, very
15-30.
relieved when the sun has finally passed over and those shadows taking over the full court.
It's about 60% now. A late call, but Keys going to live with it.
15-14.
No challenge, so break points now for Wozniacki. Keys doesn't mess around, does she? She's trying to thread the needle up that line.
Oh, that was big. And you can see how far Wozniacki is behind the baseline, just trying to retrieve those balls. And not many players can play that deep in the court because it opens the angles. But because of her speed, she gets away with it. But that forehand was just huge.
Still break point. Keys has not won a second serve point this set yet. And a double fault keeps that streak alive and gives another break to Wozniacki.
Wozniacki leads 3 games to 2, second set, and by 1 set to none.
Madison Keys had broken back and just got re-broken, so she's got more ground to make up here. It's Caroline Wozniacki up a set in 3-2 with a break here in the round of 16 of the U.S. Open. A spot in the quarterfinals on the line and a good-looking draw as well. Sevastova awaits the winner. Ranked 48 in the world. Upset Johanna Konta earlier.
15 left.
You can't forget that she also upset Muguruza. So it's been a bit of a fairy tale story for Sevastova, who, FYI, retired at one point in her career because she'd had enough with the injuries. Good decision to come back.
Keys way over hitting that forehand.
30 left.
And one of the reasons that you make a good decision to come back, that with that win, Sevastova is guaranteed $450,000 for the quarterfinal. So
Very good decision. It's just been Wozniacki's been a bad matchup for Keys today. It's the first time they've ever faced each other, so we weren't really sure how it would play out. But so far, Wozniacki's been the bad matchup for Keys as opposed to the other way around.
Game, Wozniacki.
So
Wozniacki
Wozniacki
leads, 4
consolidates
games
the
to 2
break. She's
second
2 games away from the quarterfinals. They're just about to cross the 1-hour mark here in this match.
we were talking at the break, you know, there was one shot that Madison had early in the last round, in the last game, and she chose to hit the backhand down the line at 15:30. That's just, again, the wrong choice of shot. That last one, very good. So it just shows me she's trying to keep digging out of these holes. Boy, that was close.
It's called good, and that's the first second serve point she's won this set.
Yeah, and that's highly unusual for her because she possesses such a good second serve that kicks up away from her opponent. The problem is it goes into Wozniacki's strength.
Double fault, self-imposed error here on Keys. Madison, that's her second. They both come in this set. Keeps Wozniacki very much in this game.
She's hitting that one really well. And it's the right shot, again, because it's giving her more court to hit to. Wozniacki looking for maybe the forehand. Beautiful shot.
Wozniacki is right back in this game. Keys 2 of 10 on second serve points this set. Wozniacki trying to get up that line and keep Keys on the move.
Advantage Keys.
Keys missing. That's been her shot of choice here. Wozniacki's done a good job to stay away from it. Keys has hit a lot of winners off that inside-out forehand. Keys is very dangerously close to being in real trouble here. Wozniacki had a lot of options. I'm sure she'd like to pick a different one now. That's an example of her athleticism. She's deceptively fast. She's a marathon runner with sprinter speed. missed. Had the opening there, but still
Advantage Keys.
Keys is not overpowering Wozniacki. This has been a bad matchup for Keys. She's finally found her match. So Madison Keys staying on the heels of Wozniacki, but she must break.
Wozniacki leads 4-3, second set, and by 1 set to love.
Renee Stubbs is headed courtside in case Wozniacki's able to finish this off, much like she did yesterday. What a win it would be for Wozniacki if she can hang on. Came into this tournament with no momentum. 5 wins in her last 12 matches prior to the U.S. Open. It's just the second double fall for Wozniacki. Keys, remember, came from 1-5 down against Osaka. That was in the final set. Well, Wozniacki's just come up with the answer. Wozniacki's played a very cerebral match.
40-50.
Game point.
That was Wozniacki.
Keys donating that point, and Wozniacki's a game away from the quarters. Waving off the towel.
Leads 5-3,
Parents
second set.
anxiously waiting to see if their daughter can get back to the quarters here at the U.S. Open. Thomas Hugstead, Madison Keys coach, went through this with her against Osaka, where she fell behind, looked like she was out of it, and she was able to dig her way out. This is a much different opponent today. Only the 6th trip into the net this set for Keys. She's won 5 of those points. Keys very fortunate there. She stumbled a little bit moving back. She's having to go to such effort to win points. Wozniacki playing really good defense. Wozniacki ripping that return.
40-15.
Probably her most aggressive return of the match. I just sent a little message to Keys.
Game, Keys.
Well, Keys does all she can do for now, but she'll be trying to break to stay alive. Wozniacki serves for the quarterfinals after the changeup. And again, there's that cerebral point of Wozniacki, holding this shot to the very last possible moment to see which way Keys is going. A lot of players instinctively would have gone cross court with that, and Keys would have been there. And Wozniacki, with one of her best serves of the day, placed it perfectly, and believe it or not, her first ace of the match. 2 points away. Wozniacki guessed right. That's where that power of Keys really helps. Double fault, third. But the way that double fault came, 30 all. Keys has won the last 2 points. So a first match point for Wozniacki to return to the U.S. Open quarterfinals. Caroline Wozniacki, unseeded, has returned to the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open. And what a performance, and you can see she is overjoyed. She said she really had no idea what to expect when she entered the U.S. Open this year, and for Madison Keys, back to the drawing board, still firmly in the top 10. She matched her result of last year. She lost to Serena Williams at this stage last year. This year losing to two-time finalist Caroline Wozniacki. And Keys remains the only member of the top 10 not to have contested a major final. But she's only 21 years of age, and obviously a very bright future for her. And let's not forget, Wozniacki's only 26. And if she is coming back into top form,